Josh Pick is the Chief Investment Advisor with Aptus Wealth Management, a state-registered investment advisory firm. This program is sponsored by Aptus Wealth Management. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell financial vehicles. This information should not be considered tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with professionals to see if any ideas expressed would fit their specific situation. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Securities can fluctuate and when redeemed may be more or less than when originally invested.
Welcome in to the Aptus Retirement Blueprint Radio Show. I'm Bruce Hooley here with Josh Pick of Aptus Wealth Management. For the next hour, we'll be talking about, well, a lot of things that are in the news right now and how it affects your money, how it affects you managing your wealth, growing your wealth. That's what they're about at Aptus Wealth Management. They're located in Lewis Center, just off Route 750, and you can get a free consultation with Josh and the Aptus team. All you need to do is call their office and set it up. Their number is 614-917-1040. You can also make your appointment online at Aptus Wealth, A-P-T-U-S, aptuswealth.com. While you're there, it's a great time to subscribe to Josh's YouTube channel. That way you'll get concepts we talk about here on the show broken down in smaller doses, which you can watch again, take notes on, pause, share with your friends. Here's an email that we got from Evelyn, and you guys can send your emails, bruce@salemmedia.com, bruce@salemmedia.com. And the email says, I've heard you guys talk about long-term care and how you need to plan for long-term care. We tried to do that. We got some estimates about long-term care and what it might cost us, and they just seemed unattainable for us. So what is someone supposed to do who understands the necessity of planning for long-term care? What strategies can you tell us so that we can cope with that?
Yeah, I'll use an example that came into my office that I think would probably fall in tandem with what she's talking about. There's a few ways that you can handle long-term care. And I'm talking about actually through a product, because everybody has a plan right now that's listening. And your current plan is, I'm going to use all my money until I'm broke. And then when I'm broke, the federal government through the program called Medicaid is going to come in and start picking up the tab. And hopefully whatever facility I'm in is a Medicaid approved facility and I can stay there. But if not, well, then I'm going to have to go somewhere else at the worst time in my life. And this sounds like a bad strategy, but this is the approach for all of us.
It is. It's an approach a lot of people have. Yeah.
The second approach would be, I'm going to move all of my money into a trust, make myself effectively look broke in the next 5 years, and then Medicaid will have to pick up the costs, and I've, quote, shielded or repositioned my assets, efficiently. But for a lot of people, that's not really the most effective and efficient option because you can't move qualified money into a trust. So even though it may make sense to move all your money into a trust and make it look like it doesn't exist, you have $1 million IRA, you would have to liquidate that $1 million IRA, move it to the trust, pay taxes on it, and I've yet to find anybody who's really excited about that process. So the third option is I can buy a product, whether it's insurance or something, that will help cover the cost or cover that cost in total. And in the olden days, which isn't that long ago, think 10 years ago, maybe even 20 years ago, there was kind of these standard or run-of-the-mill long-term care policies. And for all intents and purposes, think of them as auto insurance. You would pay for this policy or health insurance, pay for the policy. If you didn't use the policy, well, then you lost all the money. If you didn't use it, you lose it. If you need to go into a long-term care facility, well, then it'll pay for it. But there's only about a 50-50 shot that any of us are going to need to go in. And, the unfortunate part is premiums weren't locked in. And long-term care, well, not a new phenomenon. Long-term care insurance is a pretty new phenomenon. So you would see rate increases to the point where for most people, by the time they got to the point where they needed the insurance, they could no longer even afford the premiums to pay for it because it had gone up so much. So that really kind of went by the wayside and nobody uses that anymore. And then these hybrid life insurance policies came out where it was kind of like, well, if I pay into it, I can lock my premium. So that's cool. So I know exactly what I'm paying. If I don't use the insurance for long-term care, there's a death benefit, like a life insurance policy attached to it. So, I might not be able to use the money, but I didn't throw it down the drain either. And then, it's an exponential benefit if I go into long-term care. And these were called hybrid long-term care policies. The problem with those is the benefits have gotten pretty watered down over the years. I'm not saying it's not an option for some, but for most, that's where the buck kind of stops. People go, well, this sounded like a great idea, but why would I put $100,000 in a policy that only gives me $250,000 with a long-term care benefit? By the time I need it, I could have just invested it in something else and I would have been in the same position. Well, I think, the new wave of products that kind of solves that the best is actually through an insurance company still, but it's through an annuity contract. The benefit to the annuity contract is this. If I don't want to use it for long-term care and I'm wrong, that's always the big risk. Well, what if I think I can afford it, but now I realize that I can't afford it?
Yeah.
Well, you can use the annuity for your own income if you want. No big deal. If you need it for long-term care, it's an exponentially increased amount versus your regular annuity payment that you could get for long-term care.
Oh, really? It goes up if you're actually using it for long-term care.
For most contracts that work like this, it doubles it. So let's say that you have an annuity that's paying you $50,000 a year, you go to a long-term care facility, click, it goes up to $100,000. But you don't have to do it. The old kind of traditional annuity contracts where you go, well, I'm going to turn on this. It's a bet between me and the insurance company as to how long I'm going to live. You can do it with a deferred annuity contract, which means think of it as buying a CD. I buy this CD at some point. If I want to turn on the income, great. If I turn on that income, it's going to be an exponentially greater income because the insurance company now knows they get my money for the rest of my life. And if I go in a long-term care facility, it juices it up even more. The real benefit, there's no underwriting. So if you're unhealthy and you're buying one of these products, you don't have to go through medical underwriting to determine that, we probably shouldn't do this. It's just everybody gets accepted. So I think that's really going to be the next evolution of long-term care planning in uncertain times where people just don't want to solely allocate money towards long-term care. They say, if I need it, it's great that it's this ancillary benefit, but if I don't need it, I want to make sure that I live good on the way.
Josh Pick, Bruce Hooley with you, Aptus Retirement Blueprint Radio Show. We also do a segment on my radio show, 12:30 p.m. every Monday, 98.9 The Answer. It's called Money Monday. That way you get Josh's analysis of the latest events out there as they concern the markets, and we are definitely in a period of volatility now. The Fed looks like they're going to raise rates again. They're trying to get inflation under control. So catch us Mondays, 12:30 on Money Monday, and the Aptus Retirement Blueprint Radio Show airs at 7 p.m. Friday and noon Saturday. Tell your friends, share the content with them.